Hi friends and companions along this path of spiritual practice. This coming Sunday is Arthur Foote Music Sunday, and a celebration of the ways that we have found this past year to be together. I was thinking about the composer John Cage and the avant-garde music scene in the 1950s and 60s. And John Cage's easily the most iconic piece entitled 4 minutes and 33 seconds of silence. In 1952, at the first performance, the pianist and virtuoso David Tudor went on stage and sat down in front of a piano. He lifted the lid and then silence for 30 seconds. And then he closed the lid and then reopened the piano lid, and again silence for 2 minutes and 23 seconds. And then again closed the lid, and then opened the lid a final time, and silence for 1 minute and 40 seconds. After which he got up and walked off the stage. A piano compositional performance that lasted 4 minutes and 33 seconds. You can imagine the audience who had gathered in a concert hall expecting a concert performance, how they might have felt. There might have been fear. Some of them might have felt insulted. Some of them might have felt agitated and anxious, or maybe bored and sleepy. Maybe some of them felt pensive or were amused. And I'm sure some of them who felt like they understood and they got it, they felt maybe a little bit smug at the whole experiment. When I speak with people about this piece, there are usually two responses that are common. The first response is, it's actually not that different from any other musical piece, except the sounds, the instruments, the voices, if you will, are really different. It's a musical piece where Cage basically frames 4 minutes and 33 seconds of silence. But silence is not silence. It's the sound of the traffic passing by, maybe the bark of a dog. It's someone in the audience who's coughing or people moving. It's no different from any other musical piece, other than new sounds. A second common response is much more reflective and philosophical. Audience members wondering if John Cage was inviting us to ask, what is silence? Or what is music? Or what is performance? I mean, who's performing? Is it David Tudor, the pianist? Is it the audience? Is it everything else? The traffic, the cars? Who's really performing and making the music? But for those of us who are familiar with John Cage and his amazing interest in Zen Buddhism, primarily through Daisetsu Daitaro Suzuki, I don't think it's either that 4 minutes and 33 seconds is like any other piece of composition with new sounds, nor is it meant to be philosophical and simply a reflection on these important questions. John Cage was intimately aware of Zen Buddhism and interested in meditational practices. John Cage understood that silence and sound were co-equal in the composing of music. 4 minutes and 33 seconds appeared after a transformative experience that John Cage had with silence. If all musical composition, if all music is an articulation of sound, and silence, John Cage began to appreciate that while sound was more easy, more readily accessible, silence was difficult and challenging. The material elements of music, like pitch and harmony, loud and soft dynamics, or timbre and rhythm, silence isn't found through any of those things. Sound is. But the more John Cage thought about it, silence is an experience of duration. When a sound stops, and before the next sound appears, that open and spacious duration, that gap, was silence. John Cage, through 4 minutes and 33 seconds, is almost inviting us to look at music as a compositional experiment with silence through duration of time. Whether it's 4 minutes and 33 seconds or 45 minutes of meditation, our practice will lead us to an experience of this gap, this spaciousness that opens, not only between one sound and the next sound, but one thought and another thought, one emotion and another emotion. Meditation is the stretching and the opening of that duration of quiet, of stillness. And as in composition of music, where the musical note or the chord progression comes to a stop and searches for where to go next, what if in meditation this duration of pause, of slowing down, is an opening into a spaciousness where the familiar structures and scripts that you and I know about how we meet one another, we begin to question, to wonder. We find the capacity to not know, but to somehow linger in that liminal stretch of spaciousness, searching for the next right action, the next right note of music, the next thought, the next conduct when we encounter the stranger, the other, the immigrant. What if this duration that John Cage experienced as silence, that Zen meditation experiences as spaciousness, what if this opening, this duration, this liminal place can allow us to wonder about structures that are no longer needed, that are unjust. And in this duration, we are given an opportunity to prophetically imagine and creatively listen for the next right step. And so, friends, we continue with our practice.